Everyone, welcome to Perfectly Planned Content's Writing Wednesday video series, where we dive into the power of words and the many ways that writing can impact your business. I'm Lauren Keller, the Director of Content Writing and Strategy, and I'm so excited to bring you a monthly video series that's completely dedicated to the craft of writing. Today, I'm going to dive into a topic that gets creators shaking in their boots, something that would land you an automatic F in school. And unfortunately, something that's far too ubiquitous no matter the creative medium: plagiarism. Plagiarism is when you take someone else's work, either their words, ideas, thoughts, or intent, and disguise it as your own. It could be something as simple as borrowing a phrase, or as complex as stealing an entire idea or argument. In addition to being a really not cool thing to do, plagiarism can lead to legal repercussions if you cross the line of copyright infringement, patent, or any trademark rules. But the line between inspiration and plagiarism is certainly blurred, and it's even easier in the digital content creation space. When you have roughly 7 million new blogs posted per day, there's a lot of material for creators to access and potentially take for themselves. So how can you avoid plagiarizing and keep your words your own? Let's find out today. We'll first start by talking about the relationship between inspiration and plagiarism. And there are several recognized takes on what this looks like. Here are a couple quotes that really stood out to me in my research. The first quote is, "Immature poets imitate, mature poets steal." Thanks T.S. Eliot, because who clearly was not fazed at all by this whole concept of stealing. Wilson Miser also had a famously observed comment, and he said, "If you steal from one author, it's plagiarism. If you steal from many, it's research." Both takes on plagiarism highlight that identifying and avoiding it is messy, and it's not always cut and dry. Because the truth is, creators influence other creators. For example, a common exercise for new and seasoned writers is studying the work of other writers they admire. Leo Tolstoy famously went back to Charles Dickens' David Copperfield when searching for inspiration throughout his own life and writings. Does that mean that Tolstoy ripped off Dickens? No, not at all. It's wonderful to seek and find inspiration in others' work. Sometimes reading a piece by another author or experiencing a film you love can give you context and perspective when creating your own. You may also find opportunities to build on that person's work or ask additional questions that examine the topic from a different vantage point. So inspiration is great, but crossing the line into plagiarism is something you want to avoid. We'll talk about 5 simple ways that you can do that here. As a content creator, you want to respect yourself, your work, and everyone else's work. And one of the best ways to do that is to not plagiarize. So here are 5 easy ways. The first is cite your sources. A lot of strong content will be informed and supported by good research. But unless you were the one who conducted the study and got your hands dirty, give credit where it's due. Citing your sources allows you to clearly state where you got a piece of information, like a statistic, a quote, idea, specific strategy, or something else. Once you let your readers know where it came from, you can expand your thoughts on the material. And how you cite your sources just depends on the style guide you're working with, AP, Chicago, etc. So just go ahead and consult those style manuals to see how best to cite your sources. The next thing is to paraphrase when you can. So this is where it gets a little murky and stays in the hazy area. Paraphrasing means you take an idea or concept from somebody else and you rewrite it in your own words. It's not technically plagiarism since you aren't directly taking the words from someone else, but you are walking on a fine line, and it's very easy to slip and fall into plagiarism. But remember, with paraphrasing, you're still taking someone's idea, so you have to give that person their credit and cite the source. The third thing is don't forget about quotation marks. Quotation marks are amazing ways to indicate that you are not the speaker and are quoting somebody else. You should use quotation marks when you are trying to reiterate what someone said verbatim, like in an interview, expert commentary, or official statements. Again, here, make sure to cite your source. The fourth way to avoid plagiarism is to continue to say something new. Make sure that your content adds your original thoughts, ideas, experiences, and interpretations to the material. Your audience is really interested in what you have to say and your take on the topics that you write about. They aren't as interested in generic recommendations or information because that isn't going to help them as much. It's also not going to be as interesting or as helpful for brand identity and recognition. Try to think about writing and content creation in general as an opportunity to express your thoughts and perspectives on topics that are relevant to your audience, answer their questions, offer new ways of thinking about something, and share your expertise. And finally, the last way to avoid plagiarism is to run your content through a plagiarism software. Once you're confident, you've cited all your sources, you've used quotation marks, you've infused everything with these amazing ideas, the last thing you can do is run your article through software that checks for plagiarism. These programs can detect plagiarism and help ensure that your writing is original. So perhaps the best way to avoid plagiarism is to keep writing and keep practicing, right? Practice makes progress, and you always just want to keep working and keep growing to try to get better. Get into the habit of citing your sources, and also don't be afraid to interact with the amazing creators that are out there, but still keep your work your own. I'd like to finish off today with a quote by Mark Twain, and he said, "There is no such thing as a new idea. They are the same old pieces of colored glass that have been in use through all the ages." Maybe he's right. Maybe there isn't such thing as a new idea, but there are your unique experiences, thoughts, and perspectives about those ideas. Be sure to keep creating new colors and keep your eyes on your own paper. Thanks so much for tuning in. Until next time.